Most people treat anxiety like a malfunction, like a bug in the system, like something to fix, suppress, or push through. But what if anxiety isn't actually the problem? What if it's information your body has been trying to give you? Here's what most of us were taught about anxiety. Anxiety is a problem. It shouldn't be there. If you have it, something is wrong with you. Your brain chemistry, your coping skills, your mindset, your willpower, and your job is to make it stop. Take the medication, read the self-help book, meditate harder, reason yourself out of it. I want to offer you a different way of thinking about it. Anxiety is not a malfunction. Anxiety is a signal. It's your nervous system, which has been working 24 hours a day for your entire life to keep you safe, telling you something. Maybe it's telling you that you're overcommitted. Maybe it's telling you that you're in a relationship that doesn't feel safe. Maybe it's telling you that your body needs more sleep, more movement, more nourishment. Maybe it's telling you that something from your past is unfinished and is asking for attention. The problem isn't that you have anxiety. The problem is that we live in a culture that has confused the message with the disease. We're trying to silence the smoke alarm instead of looking for the fire. When you start to relate to anxiety as information instead of malfunction, two things happen. The first is the anxiety often softens, because the part of you that was waving the flag has finally been seen. The second is that you start to make different choices in your life. Not because you're forcing yourself to, but because you're finally listening to a signal your body has been sending for a long time. Why does this reframe actually work? It's not just a feel-good idea. There's something happening in your nervous system that explains it. When you fight a sensation in your body, when you tell yourself, I shouldn't feel this, I need to make it stop, your brain interprets that fight as additional threat. The original anxiety was a signal. Your resistance to that signal becomes a second signal. Now your nervous system has two reasons to stay activated. The thing you were trying to suppress doesn't get smaller. It gets larger. Researchers have a name for this. It's called the ironic process. Try not to think about a white bear. You're now thinking about a white bear. The act of trying to suppress a thought activates the very pathways that produce it. The same is true of physical sensations. Try not to feel anxious. The attempt becomes part of the anxiety. Now consider what happens when you do the opposite. When you notice anxiety, and instead of fighting it, you simply acknowledge it, you name it, you let it be there, you ask it gently what it might be trying to tell you. What happens neurologically is interesting. The part of your brain called the prefrontal cortex, the thinking, narrative-making, observing part, comes online. When the prefrontal cortex is engaged, it can actually regulate the more primitive parts of your brain that generate the anxiety in the first place. There's a researcher named Dan Siegel who calls this name it to tame it. The simple act of putting words to a feeling. I notice I'm feeling anxious right now and there's tightness in my chest. Measurably reduces activation in the amygdala, the brain region that triggers the stress response. This isn't magic, it's not denial, it's not pretending the anxiety isn't there, it's the opposite. It's making contact with it. And it works because of how the human brain is built. The catch is, this requires unlearning. Most of us spent decades treating our own internal signals as enemies. Reversing that takes practice. It doesn't happen in one video. But it can start in one video. It can start right now. Here's how to actually do this in real life. The next time you notice anxiety, that tightness in your chest, that buzzing in your stomach, that swirl of thoughts that won't slow down, instead of trying to make it go away, try this. First, notice it without trying to fix it. Just acknowledge that it's there. You can say it out loud or in your head, there's anxiety here right now. Second, locate it physically. Where in your body is the sensation strongest? Chest, throat, belly? Just observe. Don't analyze. Don't make it mean anything yet. Third, breathe. Not deeply, not dramatically, just normally. Let the breath be what it is. Continue to notice the sensation as you breathe. Fourth, and this is the part most people skip, ask gently, what is this signal trying to tell me? Not as an interrogation, as an invitation. Sometimes you'll get an answer, sometimes you won't. Both are fine. What you'll often find is that the anxiety, once acknowledged, starts to soften on its own. Not always. Not all the way, but often, because the part of you that was waving the flag has finally been heard. The goal of this practice isn't to make anxiety go away. The goal is to change your relationship with it, from enemy to messenger, from problem to information, from something that happens to you to something you can be in conversation with. This is not a quick fix. It is a slow rewiring. Done over weeks and months, it changes the underlying pattern. Done over years, it changes how you live in your own body. If this reframe lands for you, there's another piece of the picture I want you to see. Sometimes anxiety doesn't even feel like anxiety. Sometimes it feels like nothing at all. Like a fog you can't quite name. Like watching your own life from behind glass. That's also your nervous system. And it has its own signal called the freeze response. The full breakdown is in my next video. Links right here on screen. Take care of yourself. I'll see you there.